Hello guys, I hope you're all enjoying the new Lightning Strikes content and all the changes that came with it. Not that long ago I uploaded a Stuka video with a few tips, but I had a few really good games recently and I thought I'm just gonna share this footage with you, give you guys a few more tips and show you how to make that thing work. I will come out with more guides soon, but before we dive in, I just wanted to say that since I started this channel, I've received an incredible amount of support from you guys, and it really means a lot to me to hear that you enjoy my content. So thank you so much everyone, and stay tuned for more coming soon. Alright, let's do a quick recap. With the January update, DICE increased the damage of the Stuka BK-37 cannons against all targets, while also reducing the splash range. Accurate shots versus vehicles and infantry will be greatly rewarded, but inaccurate fire will still suffer significantly reduced damage. These are intended as precision strafing weapons and should be powerful on single targets but weak on area targets. Alright, so personally I definitely noticed the decreased splash damage or the range. While DICE says that they increased the damage against all targets, I didn't really notice a improvement against planes. They're still very good, but I noticed a slight improvement against vehicles, especially light tanks and transport vehicles. It is still pretty difficult to destroy a heavy tank in one strafe. You definitely need more than one strafe or have to find a damaged tank. But yeah, lightly armored vehicles are definitely easier to destroy and you can get some really cool kills there. So now, what do you have to do to be successful with this plane? I figured I'm just gonna break down this match that I had on Panzerstorm because it was a really good mix of being aggressive, being defensive, finding ground targets and fighting air targets. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that I like to do when a new match starts and all the planes spawn is to stay out of action and be a little more passive first. So here I go low and use the terrain as cover so that I can gather some information what the enemy planes are. Is it fighters that I'm up against or bombers? So here I actually see that one fighter is headed straight for my teammate. I always try to keep an eye on my teammate, and this guy is completely focused on the other Stuka, so I can sneak up from behind and get a couple shots off on him. Keep in mind that the bullet velocity of those 37mm cannons is very slow and you have to lead your shots quite a lot, especially when the targets are far away and flying in a straight line, and it's actually pretty difficult to hit them. Alright, when it comes to ground targets, this is what I talked about earlier. You are pretty effective against light tanks and even medium tanks, but heavy tanks are still pretty difficult to kill, especially in one strafe. I shoot this guy in the rear several times, hit him several times, but it just doesn't do enough damage to destroy the tank. So now you'll want to find the right balance of being aggressive and being passive, because as we know, the Stuka is not very maneuverable and you have to really pick your fights, especially if there's a lot of fighters in the air and you only have one chance where like a good opportunity presents itself. Now I'm flying back to resupply and I hear that an enemy fighter is close by, so I try to be careful, look back and see where he's going, and sure enough he's turning in on us. So I'm trying to stay low and stay hidden, something that can be really hard to see you if you're so low to the ground. And I almost use my wingman as bait here because I know that as soon as the fighter is on him, he presents himself as a much easier target. I still miss my shots here, but that's alright because the most important thing is that I scared him off and that my teammate stays alive so that we can cover each other. Especially with the Stuka, you're still pretty vulnerable and a good enemy fighter pilot can take you out fairly easily. So again, you always want to make sure that you know what the enemy planes are and where they're at. The other Spitfire somehow ends up right in front of my crosshair and he does the one thing that he shouldn't be doing in the Spitfire. If you're being chased by a Stuka with those 37mm cannons, you want to fly erratic maneuvers because with this low bullet velocity you're going to be really difficult to hit. But with those slow predictable turns you're going to expose so much surface area that with the high damage of those cannons the Stuka can kill you with just a few well-placed shots before you have any time to react. So don't be afraid to overcompensate for the lead in the beginning because it does take a little bit of practice, but if you do get the hang of it, it can be really deadly. One more thing that I want to share about the Stuka, I talked about that in my other video, but the Stuka is a lot more durable when it comes to AA fire compared to any fighters. So don't be afraid to take on AA guns, even head on, because most likely you will be able to get the kill on the AA gunner. Even if you are engaging an AA tank, you are able to take him out because they're lightly armored And what I'm doing here is this tank has been bothering me the entire match, so I'm trying to stay low and try to stay hidden. I'm gonna fly all the way around, try to stay low in the process so he doesn't discover me, and I'm trying to flank him just like an infantry maneuver. So once I'm coming out of the cover, I keep looking for him, and there he is right in the open, no cover whatsoever, and he is just an easy kill for me. Alright guys, the last thing I want to do with you is break down this little clip together with you, because here I was engaging in a 2v1 situation, and the first thing here is target priority. So I hit the first Spitfire, but instead of going after him, I try to damage the other Spitfire first, because I know the first one is damaged already, he can't go after me as easily. I hear that the second Spitfire was right next to me, so I switch back to the gunner seat, see if I can see him, but actually he ends up right in front of me, and I try to get a couple shots off him, but they're pretty far away and they're flying back to resupply. I decide to go for the Spitfire on the left, because he's the one that is going to be able to turn back on me first, and I actually managed to get the kill on him. He was still damaged. However, now the second Spitfire is on me. He probably isn't fully repaired yet, you could see that because he's leaking some fuel or whatever, or some smoke, I wasn't quite sure. But I still hear that he's on me and he's trying to turn on me. I keep looking back, but eventually we just engage in this little dogfight turning maneuver for a little while. However, I know I won't be able to outturn him, and eventually we'll have to switch to the gunner seat, so I'm trying to get my plane in a good position for that. When you switch to the gunner seat, your plane will actually slow down significantly, and he just overshoots and ends up right in front of my crosshairs. He's damaged, so he's an easy target. All I have to do is turn in, pull the trigger, and here he goes. So I hope this was somewhat helpful, because I know there was a lot of information very quickly, but maybe it helps you to kind of understand what I'm thinking and what I'm prioritizing when I'm flying. So let me know what your thoughts were on this video, and if you have any requests or things that you want me to cover. Again, thanks to each and every one of you for your support. It really means a lot to me to hear that you enjoy the content. So good luck to everyone in the skies. I will talk to you guys soon.